Hello and welcome to Archfelder's Hacks with Archfelder and his amazing hacks. So recently an exploit has taken the WoW hardcore community by storm. I didn't invent the exploit, but in this video I will show you how to do it much faster and more effectively than has been published previously, in a way that could potentially save your character's life on their hardcore journey to level 60. The basic method we're going to improve upon is already reasonably well known among serious WoW hardcore players. It is known as the Logout skip, and this went mainstream in vanilla WoW about 2 years ago. According to the fantastic YouTuber Frosterdamus, the Logout skip grew out of the speedrunning and WoW hardcore communities. Some claim to have been using this method in OG vanilla, but I have been unable to find a source. I'd appreciate any information as to who came up with this genius method. Despite a lot of research, I could not find out where this came from. To cut a long story short, it works like this. You jump on an object inside a cave, typically a mushroom, and log out. When you log back in, you are teleported to a nearby graveyard. Exactly why and how this works isn't known, but it is very likely to do with the game client not being able to establish where you are and transporting you to the nearest graveyard as a default option. This is a fantastic time saver, probably the strongest exploit in the game currently. It will save most players literally days of time spent walking back and forth through zones on the journey to level 60. Now, this isn't a guide to the traditional method of logout skips. If you want to know more about the fine details of how to perform the skips, I've left a link to a guide by a very talented YouTuber by the name of Calamity below in the description, which is the best guide I've seen on the subject. What I want to tell you is a way to do this faster and more effectively. The traditional way to do logout skips is to jump on an object in a cave and simply start the logout timer. Naturally, this takes 20 seconds. Some more advanced users of this method use a different technique where they close the client using Alt plus F4 and may jump or use a macro to remain suspended in midair. Here's a better technique. Open World of Warcraft by clicking on the icon on your computer. Log in on the character you want to use. Now click on your World of Warcraft icon again and log in again. This will automatically log you out of the first program you opened. You should now have two versions of World of Warcraft running. One with your character actively logged in and ready to play, and another showing the login screen with an error message stating that your account has logged in somewhere else. Click OK on the error message to remove it. Now, whenever you need to perform a skip, jump onto a reasonably high object underground and switch to the client with the login screen and hit reconnect. You'll find this is much faster than the other methods. Not only does this save you time by performing the skip almost instantly, it can save your character's life by teleporting them away from danger, much as a paladin's bubble hearth does. Naturally, staying alive is very important indeed in Hardcore Classic, so this technique is much more effective than using the logout timer method. Note that the Alt plus F4 method is redundant. You don't need to close the client with Alt plus F4, it just adds an unnecessary stage. The act of relogging automatically logs you out of the first client. Obviously, it is much better if you don't get your character in a near-death situation in the first place. It can be difficult to pull this off under pressure while stunned, but if you know this is a possibility, you can use this trick to get out of trouble, should it find you, and then this can be a game changer. Worth adding that all this works just as well in Wrath Classic, but obviously has most value to vanilla Classic players, especially those doing unofficial hardcore now and official hardcore in the future. It does not work at all in retail. Whether this is going against the spirit of WoW hardcore is really a matter for the hardcore community itself. I publish exploits in WoW. What you choose to do with the information, if anything, is up to you. Now, if you like this sort of advanced information that will allow you to get an edge in all forms of Warcraft, then please consider joining my Patreon, where I can talk about things too hot for public view.